everyone, it's Tracy Fisher with Marketplace Sotheby's International Realty. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Interview with an Expert, where I'm interviewing all local community experts on everything from real estate to mortgage, finance, even health and wellness. I'm here today to discuss all things mortgage with Matthew Lord from Cross Country Mortgage. Hi Matthew, thanks for joining.
Hello Tracy, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm doing well. We're actually here at Milbrandt Vineyards in Woodinville, Washington, right in the heart of our beautiful wine country. And we're going to be doing a little talking about some mortgages, having a little wine tasting. So with that, I don't know, you want a little vino?
Sounds fabulous.
Awesome.
Thank you.
What do you have for us, Vicki?
I have some Ravenscliff Malbec. That's part of our single vineyard series.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Enjoy.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Got to give a little swirl.
Yes.
Do a little nose test. Oh, that smells really good. Okay. That is smooth.
Very smooth.
Nice.
Yes.
Very good. So before we get too far down the line of talking about mortgages, pre-approvals, kind of the do's and don'ts of that process, there is a topic that I feel is near and dear to our heart, something that's been in the media, in the news. I know I'm hearing it from my clients and people who are interested in buying homes, and that is the big R word, recession. And the news out there is having everyone believe that the sky is falling, that this is going to be another 2008. I'm sure you're probably hearing that a lot as well. So I just feel as experts in this industry, it is our sort of moral and fiduciary responsibility to counteract the negative information that's getting out there and actually disseminate the facts and the information that I think will help educate the industry for people to make a more informed decision. So with regard to the recession, what are some of the things that you're hearing lately?
The fear of housing prices dropping and the fear of what's going to happen with interest rates, because nobody really knows. So there's just a lot of uncertainty with buyers out there if now is a good time or if they should wait to see what happens next year with it being an election year and whatnot. There's so much thoughts and feelings into that.
Trade wars, elections.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, actually it was really interesting. I heard a interesting statistic the other day from Realtor.com that, did you know 55% of home buyers actually decide to hold off on the purchase of a home during a quote-unquote recession?
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
So I think what's interesting too, and you might attest, is that here in the Seattle industry, I mean, we have such a diverse industry for, aviation and technology and finance and biotech. So in that sense, we are pretty, recession insulated. Obviously we've had and enjoyed a really strong housing market. Certainly, we are seeing some stabilization, but really what is a recession than just a decline in growth? So I think that's really the message we need to get out there, is not that, prices are falling below and losing value, but while we were enjoying 13 to 15% appreciation year over year, now economists are projecting in 2019, 2020, about 5.1% appreciation. Something that might be interesting, the Housing and Mortgage Market Review puts out their ARCH risk assessment and index every year, and guess how many states are actually projected to have a decline in the housing average median price over the next 2 years?
I have no idea.
0 states.
Wow.
0 states.
Wow.
They base it on moderate, minimal, and low risk, and there were no states even projected for a moderate risk of having that, and 34 out of 50 states actually only had a minimal risk index. Here in Washington, we're set at very low. So I think for me anyway, and I don't know if you feel the same, but is to counteract that negative news media and the messages that are being portrayed, to kind of quell the fear that these prices are reducing, that people need to hold off on their search. The house that you're looking at today and you're interested today is projected to be 5% more expensive next year. And with rates? Yeah,
you never know. So it's hard to say. I mean, if you can afford to buy it now, now is the time, because interest rates are at historic lows, and with so much uncertainty out there, it's hard to say what it could be next year if you were to wait.
Yeah, absolutely. So bottom line, again, before we got too far, and thanks for letting us kind of get in our soapbox, but I do think it's important as experts in this industry that we are the ones that need to disseminate this information. Right. I think the message here is recession does not equal housing crisis. In fact, house prices have only decreased 2 out of the last 5 recessions and of course one of those being the housing crisis. Matthew, what are some of the things that we are seeing now versus 2008 in terms of lending? Why is it that we're more insulated now to it?
Well, we're underwriting loans to make sure that everybody that is buying a home and at the purchase price that they are can afford to pay it back. I mean, that is the biggest thing that was not happening back in 2008 and before, because people were able to get loans without a lot of verifications of income and assets, where now underwriters are making sure that people can afford to buy these homes and continue to live in them without, defaulting on their loan.
And I would also say too that there's a lot more equity in homes now as well.
Correct.
If you had the fortune to buy in 2012, 2013, your equity, you're sitting pretty right now with your equity.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so hopefully that information is helpful, and that people will not treat this. I actually, you say recession, I say opportunity.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're thinking of purchasing, now is an amazing time with where the rates are at. With still the stability in the economy projected for at least over the next 2 years. So thanks for letting us get on a soapbox for a little bit. We felt like that was a really important topic to cover.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now that we've gotten the R word out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about mortgages. And starting with that is pre-approval. So I know before I even set foot on the ground with my clients or even send them a search, I'm asking them to get pre-approved for a number of reasons. So Matthew, why is pre-approval so important to our clients before they buy?
Absolutely, it's very important because you want to get out there and make sure that you can afford to buy the home that you're looking at. You don't want to fall in love with a home you can't buy or you can't afford.
And I don't want to break your heart.
Exactly, you definitely don't want that. So, taking the necessary steps to verify income, verify assets, verify the ability to repay, so that we know that these people will not default on their loan. And that is one of the reasons why we don't have to worry about people not being able to qualify, because we're taking the necessary steps to be able to ensure that they can afford to buy these homes.
Okay, great. So for someone who is interested, okay, we're ready to buy a home, we want to get pre-approved, take us through the steps of how that looks and what kind of information it is that you're asking them for.
Sure, absolutely. Well, usually I would invite them to go to my website and fill out an online application. It's totally secure, and it actually creates a borrower portal where they can upload all of their documentation, and it goes right into their loan file. And then from there, we run their credit, make sure that they have the correct credit score to be able to qualify, look at their income, look at their assets as far as the down payment goes, and then depending on the purchase price and the type of loan program they're looking for, we can get a point of sale approval within 24 hours. If it's a larger purchase and maybe a higher loan amount, sometimes it does have to go to an underwriter first to be able to actually get a pre-approval in place. And then from there, if we do get that, we can offer the pre-approval letter to send to you and to your clients so they can get out there and start shopping.
Great, sounds great. Well, I know I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and for the first-time home buyers, or even if it's been a while since you've purchased, tell me, do you have to have 20% down to put in order to purchase a home?
No, I know. I think that's the biggest myth with a lot of home buyers these days, is that they think they have to have 20% to put down, and that's not the case. We've got programs that offer a minimum of 3% down, up to 5, 10, and then 20% for people that do have the ability to furnish that kind of down payment. But that is the biggest myth I think that's out there, is that people think that they have to have that much money to be able to put down, and it's not the case. They can do it with as little as 3% on a conventional mortgage.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
And the advantage, of course, of putting 20% down would be to avoid
private mortgage insurance.
Okay.
Correct.
But if they were to do, for example, let's say they could only do 3.5 like FHA,
correct,
or even 3 to 5% down, they can always refinance.
Refinance, correct.
Yeah. And that's why it is so important to have that relationship with your mortgage provider. I know people want to treat mortgage rates like a commodity, and everyone's all the same, and not all lenders are created equal. I'm here to tell you that. So I think, at least in my perspective, when I'm introducing my clients to mortgage professionals, service absolutely is at the top. And you want someone who can have a competitive rate, but also someone who can provide superior service.
Absolutely.
I found that to be so important. So definitely,
very true.
Yeah. So when interviewing with mortgage professionals, obviously trust your real estate advisor. We work with these guys for a reason, and Matt kills it for my clients.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I would say service, at least in my perspective.
Absolutely.
Matthew, tell me a little bit about Cross Country's Fast Track program that you guys have and why that's a benefit to buyers.
Absolutely. No, it's one of the things that separate us from some of the other lenders out there is that we would take borrowers through the complete approval process with underwriting, even if they don't have a property in mind, so that when they do find that property, they could potentially close in 10 to 14 business days,
Wow.
which would make their offer as good as a cash offer because we verified all of their income and assets and ability to repay the loan. So it's a great opportunity for somebody to know exactly what they can afford and be able to close quickly if the right time presents itself.
Okay, so a really competitive
Absolutely.
option then from
Yeah.
Great. Okay, very cool. So one of the things I want to talk about, so the magic has happened, we've gotten you under contract, seller agrees, buyer agrees, so we've got mutual acceptance. So tell me about some of the do's and more importantly, the don'ts of what you should do when you're under contract when it comes to your loan.
Don't go out and buy a new car. Don't go and buy any kind of 0% financing for appliances or furniture, because if we do see a credit pull that was shown after we already had the approval, we would have to go back to underwriting and explain what that is, and that could potentially negate the approval because now they have additional payments on their credit report that we would have to show. And even though it does say 0% financing and they don't have to pay anything for 3 years, we still have to account for that as a liability on their credit.
Okay, so no big ticket item purchases, no pulling new lines of credit. I imagine job stability would probably be
Very
important.
important. Don't quit your job or take a 2 or 3 month hiatus
No
when you're
sabbaticals.
under contract. Yep, you want to make sure that we can verify the employment from start to finish.
Okay, let's talk about some things that are important too. So for example, making payments on time.
Absolutely. Don't miss any payments because that could affect your credit score, which also could in turn affect your ability to close because you now don't have the credit score to qualify for that loan that we had you approved for.
Okay, great, thank you. If someone wanted to go through the pre-approval process, they've maybe been on the fence and now's the time, what is it that they need to do to get started? Obviously, they need to head over to your website and we'll provide all that information. But what kind of documentation are you going to be asking them for?
Sure, absolutely. Usually I just say a rule of 2. So 2 years tax returns, 2 years W-2s, 60 days worth of bank statements, 30 days worth of pay stubs, and then if they have assets above and beyond what's in their bank accounts, retirement accounts, portfolios, things like that, anything to make the file stronger to show liquidity and or reserves needed for the approval.
Sure, okay. Well, Matthew, I can't thank you enough for joining me today for this episode of Interview with the Expert.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you and enjoying some vino here at Milbrandt Vineyards.
Yes, it's been fabulous. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. What is the best way if someone wants to reach out to you? What's the best way for them to get a
Sure,
hold
just
of you?
contact my cell phone. I'm always available. I pride myself on being available evenings and weekends, so just call in 206-390-2441.
Okay. Well, if there's any imparting words of wisdom to our viewers out there who may be on the fence about purchasing, what would you leave them with?
I'd say buy now. Don't be afraid. You've got historic low interest rates, inventory of homes out there, and they're only going to get more expensive. So why wait when you can buy now?
Absolutely. Wise words. All right.
Thank
well,
you.
Matthew, cheers.
Cheers.
All right, my friend. Until next
Thank
time.
you. Until next time. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching the video today. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you could do me a favor, it would mean the world to me. Go ahead and like, subscribe, you can hit the button below. Also make sure you catch me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm going to be doing these once a month series on Interview with an Expert, Community Spotlights, and I would love for you to check those out each and every month. So thanks again for joining. Have a great one.